there was a time when I used to go watch reality shows. Now I cannot stomach some of these reality shows, which were, I have to admit, a guilty pleasure. But now, my own role as a woman, I'm like, I can't co-sign this.
You know what, Patty, that's so true. A lot of the reality shows are just that, reality TV shows, but what's happening is that for many of our black women, it's causing them to live in a fantasy land. And we're in a time, in a season, where women must understand their power, that there is a power that they house, and that it's not in their shapes, it's not in the outer being, you understand?
The pocketbooks.
Right, the pocketbooks and the shoes and the suits and all of those things, they're great to have, but it's the inner person and the esteem of the women that has to be built up in order for them to understand that, yes, it's good to have a man who compliments, but if you don't have that man, being able to purchase your own home, being able to take a vacation, being able to start your own business, these are some of the things that we have as black women must understand that we have the power to actually achieve.
Getting the family back together, which is a hot topic. It's little things like sitting down and having dinner. It seems something so simple, like cut the TV off, cut the video game off, cut this off, let's sit down and have dinner, because it starts at home.
Yes, it does. And one of the things that we need to do as men is get in position. We need to get in position and understand that family is important. And when we get in position and understand that family is important, we can begin to delegate, set time where we can have that time together, to laugh, to joke, and to let that structure build on that foundation that we could put together, and just make it a priority. You know, not think about ourselves, because when it comes to family, it's not about just an individual. It's about us as a whole, about coming together, spreading the love, and letting each other know that, hey, I'm here. You can talk to me. You can say whatever it is that you need to, but just to express the love of the home. Once the love is in the house, then we can begin to understand that, you know, I can feel free to be me.
Taking responsibilities for our own actions. I think that's something that we have. I am a single parent, but I was raised in a two-parent household. I realized that there are many things that I had to do to better the relationship with my child's father, so that we can come together, that we may not be together, but we will be together in the raising of this child. There's so many men that are bitter. Bad relationships. You hear about baby mamas, baby daddies, and drama. What ways do you think that we could start? I know by having this dialogue, and I think being honest and taking inventory of ourselves. How can we that baby mama, baby daddy trauma?
You know, that's so important, because being right now, you know, my children are grown, but however, you know, I was married, divorced, and then there was a period where I had to work as a single parent, but coming together and actually being able to come to a place where we can, it's not about us, but it's about raising this child. And although we're not together, as you mentioned, we should still be together. And I think that happens, Patty, when maturity steps in. And what happens is a lot of people are not mature, because maturity says that although we don't live in the same household, we can still get together. We can even still have dinner together with our child. But I'm also understanding, and I see what's happening, because when you do have that family breakdown where mother is here, father's there, a lot of times if the people that come into our lives, the men or women, if they're not mature individuals, they will want to shut the parents out, the biological parents out. But that is not the way of raising a family. It takes a village. And so because we are single parents, you know, and their fathers raising their children as well as mothers, but still having that commitment to the growth of our child, their future, and that they're a whole individual, so that we don't continue to recycle the same problems.
This is dialogue that needs to be discussed. It's something that when you think of broken families, single parent homes, HIV, AIDS, the violence that we see, why are our children so angry? You know, just burst of violence. It just doesn't make any sense. You watch the news and you're like, this doesn't even make any sense. It's dialogue that we would like to continue, because it needs to be discussed and it needs to be addressed. And if we could just start it from here, and that someone could hear it and just be blessed and say, maybe I can do things different. I need to get my family together, not worry about the next party, event, this. I need to get my family together, you know, doing some good. Elder Bernard States, Reverend Chantel Ellis, Thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank you.
taking time, and this is something that I would love to continue to have discussion on as we save our communities.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Welcome back to WPEB 88.1 FM in West Philadelphia. You are listening to The Shed Kitchen. And gratefully and thankfully, Renee McBride Williams is in to host this relationship portion of the program.
Well, thank you
Welcome
very
in.
much.
I know you're a little under the weather. You dragged yourself on in here.
Yeah, under the weather isn't the word for it,
Okay.
but there are
Okay.
some things that are really a priority to
Yes.
me. You know, is bringing as much information as we can to the public at large. And not to mention the fact that the subject matter is something that made me kind of get out of bed.
It's a hot
And
topic.
come in. Yes, it is a hot topic, and not to mention the fact there's a lot of that those issues I could talk about. So as I get myself together, please forgive me. We like to interview two gentlemen and a young lady.
Yes,
regarding this
Kevin
issue.
Sheaf, Brother Elder Bernard Spates, excuse me.
That's correct.
And Kalila, the hustle lady Adams, is in the studio, also a guest today. And Mr. Sheaf he's actually been doing a lot around relationships, male-female relationships. He's actually developed a conference based on black men. And Brother Bernard Spates is from Victory Christian Center, and he's done some work on WDAS for Praise 103.9, and he has been doing a lot. And actually, Mr. Spates and Mr. Sheaf have been guests before. This is the third installment of the relationship series, and we've talked about a lot of stuff. Why black women are alone, education, what's going on with the relationships between black males and females, and we are going to get into our conversation now.
Well, yeah, one of the things that he mentioned that I want to actually open up with is one of the reasons that you mentioned that to my experience is why so many black women aren't married.
Yes.
You know, there has been, let me give you just a little background history of what I know. Since I'm over 50, just for this show,
Go ahead.
I know there came a time when I was a teenager in my 20s, I can't remember which, but it was the Vietnam War. A lot of the men came back and they weren't ready, for what we had, was our expectations were as far as relationships. But by that time, African American women went from being Negro to black, and they wound up going to school, colleges, becoming independent, and independently thinking and home, and child rearing and so on and so on. It led to a lot of discord to relationships and the communications between black men and women. And I think at that point is when a lot of times you wind up in situations where the kids wind up raising themselves, the parents weren't home, or they weren't there, they were absentee fathers. And that's when you wind up with a lot of African American women who found good excuses in their minds for the reason why they didn't get married, without really knowing that it was a cultural thing at the time, which I kind of thought about it in that term, because I was married twice. And my first marriage didn't last very long because of my expectations. And the second marriage I just had in the last 12 years, which I am, like I said, in my 50s, and I was like pretty much a baby when we got married, but my expectations had changed. And my acceptance of my husband for the things that's going on in his life that maybe he can't so much control as far as employment is concerned, and trying to keep a house on our heads, and knowing that there was a gap in our financial incomes. So learning how to bridge that gap so we could all communicate, where I can't actually attack his manhood, nor could he actually attack my femininity. So please forgive me, because right now I have a cold, so I'm trying to really get this out. But I want to ask you, what brought this issue up to you that you felt as though you needed to voice this out loud?
That's an excellent question, Renee. It's an honor, first off, to be on the Shed Kitchen, because if it's in the kitchen, it's on the menu. And I understand that you're the architect of the show. To your question, what brought this about? A year ago, I was sitting in the same studio, and there was a guy by the name of Dexter that did a show called Be Conscious. And we had several people sitting in the studio of different religions. Muslims, Jamaican religion, I forget, Rastafarian, thank you, and several Christians. And the Muslim brother said something that I will never forget. I had talked about my big brother, Pastor Roger Bryan, and we were coming off the heels of the Black Male Conference. And I was asking God to give me, I said, God, I don't know what I should do next. Well, Minister Ishmael Al-Islam from the Nation of Islam said, when I mentioned about Pastor Roger and Lady Denise and how they do this relationship class every Sunday, he said, this is the minister in the Nation of Islam, said, I will submit under their teaching on relationships as a way for the community to come together. And right then, the Lord gave me the idea right in this studio. The Lord said, your next conference will be the black male-female relationships, because any civilization, any society, the building blocks is the family. And the Lord showed me that one of the problems with the black community, and the reason that it is so dysfunctional and so much at the bottom of every category, is because of the complete breakdown of the family unit. And if you trace it back, there's a deconstruct between black men and black females. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, I was really curious about that because some things, these are behind the doors kind of conversations. You know, you have in the kitchen, or things you're concerned about when you go to your organizations, or you're out with your friends in the clubs and so forth and so on. And women have a tendency to encourage bad behavior among women towards males. And I actually saw this escalate through my disco years and through the hip-hop years. And I became very concerned for the young women. Even myself, as many of my friends began to realize that we were aging and maybe our needs had to be changed as far as things we were looking forward to. You know, so we had to really find out a way to communicate with the African American male who was angry at us, you know, for overlooking him because he didn't have enough money, or because we wanted somebody who had a house, or when we talked about the guys who live with their mothers, you know, so forth and so on. So I want to ask you, since you're sitting here, you know, and I see you nodding your head, you know, I guess you agree to some degree. What is your take on that? Is yours any different?
My take on the whole thing is, first of all, thank you for having me here tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
My take on what you just expounded on was really locating where the men really were at heart. It's a real thing, it's a real situation with some men, but what we have to do first of all is just take personal inventory of ourselves. When we come in contact with a black woman, you know, it's the lustful eye that wanders. You know, we see the outward appearance, we see what she has on, you know, because men, we're moved by what we see. But what we can do is, what we have to do, we have to lay aside personal gratification. That can't be first. We have to look at the big picture and really begin to see the woman who she is at heart. You know, it takes a lot of time spent. It takes a lot of time to understand her, and also that she may know her position in the relationship as far as like companionship. If that is something that it would happen down the line, they both need to know their position and where they are, so they can have some kind of direction or where they want to go, and so it could be a future. You know, it's a lot on one of children. There's a lot of abortions going on, a lot of divorce, a lot of hate, a lot of anger. You know, but if we as men just take the time not to put that gratification first, I think we'll have a future of continuity, of togetherness. You understand what I'm saying? And the time is now, Renee. The barrier has been broken, and right now we have to put up the structure, you know, to build these relationships so we can be successful.
Well, you know what? We're going to also ask the hustle baby.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things I want to know is, when we come back, I want to ask her opinion, because we want to know as we're listening to the hustle lady, you're also talking to Elder Bernard, as well as Mr. Kevin Sheephead. And we have two different points of views, two different cultural, religious perspectives. Now, we have one from a young lady in here who's, I'm not going to say that you're half my age. You look like you might be.
33.
Oh, and then you're not half my age then. You're just a couple of years younger than me.
Check it out.
I said for the show, I was going to say 50-something. But, okay, 33. So we're going to talk about a different generation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how did you see how, let's say for instance, I could be your mother. Let me say that. My son will be 40 years old this year in a couple of months.
Well, how you doing, Mom?
Thanks. How you doing, sweetheart? Now, what do you see that might have been different from what I said? Or do you see the same thing as what I said?
Well, I'm very opinionated, first of all, and thank you for having me on the
No,
show.
you're welcome.
But I think that things have definitely, I do have a difference of opinion with you when it pertains to the part that I do agree with you. Let me start there. The part that I do agree is that, you know, the men, when they did come home, something changed for them. But in the same token, in that 90s movement, I like to call it the Jezebel movement, but I'm not going to be spiritual about it. I call it the Jezebel movement because our country was focused on driving women to be more independent. Am I the person to say if that was a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not really going to touch that area. But what
Which is another show.
Exactly.
Right.
But the part that I do want to touch is basically what these two gentlemen said, because I agree with you to some degree, but the part that I disagree is the area of, you know, accepting a man when he's still living with his mom, accepting the areas where, you know, he didn't really have a lot. As a young woman, I believe that a good father figure is going to teach you that you shouldn't accept that from a man because it's made him lazy, it's made him complacent, it's made him in so many things that how can I depend on you if when we go into the future raising a son, what are you going to raise him to do the same? And to some degree, that's where I'm touching with that. But all of that is understandable, but it's also a time where are they going to have to be accountable? In a lot of our church forums, we're constantly taught that, you know, men are the head. Well, then if you're going to be the head, don't force me to wear the pants.
But what are the expectations of men for women? Let's say, for example, today, I know it's changed. When I came up, which I agree with you. You know, I agree with you because I'm putting it out there like that because it's one of the things Nene does. I see women accept men on every level of some levels I wouldn't have touched them.
Absolutely.
But however, what is it that is acceptable? What is it that women are looking for? When they say man, where should they look for that description?
It's different ranges of women. It depends on, I don't think that you should categorize a woman based on her level of education. Because I know sisters that got degrees, bachelors, masters, and still smoke weed on 52nd Street. So, I mean, it's not based on your education completely, but it's based on the foundation that you came from, what type of household you came from, and also what kind of culture you come from. Because if you can remember, when I was growing up, I'm 33, to some degree, women from the South were put on a pedestal compared to a northern woman, because women from the South were known to cook, clean, take care of their kids, and be that woman for their man. Where northern women were sort of bred in a different way, where we were sort of bred to be independent, go get what you want, be a go-getter, hustle and bustle for what you want. So it's different ranges of women.
But then when I came up, there was a lot of households that were used to not having a man involved.
Absolutely.
You know, where the man was out all day long working. He came home and he just expected his dinner, and he kind of sat in the chair, and then he kind of disappeared, sort of like the black version of Archie Bunker. He was very opinionated. He wasn't going to change. And misogynist, so to speak.
Good times.
You know, and the mothers will always say to you, well, here's your father, he works really hard.
Exactly.
This is your father, this is your brother. There was always excuses being made.
Exactly.
However, I like to ask the brothers that are sitting here,
Go ahead.
and you, my next question, I know what it was for me, but what was your last straw that made you want to step out to say, hey, it's something that has to be done? Where was the line drawn when you found out there was a limitation to a relationship that you said, I either got to be part of the problem or part of the solution? What was your last straw?
My last straw was basically, Renee, just seeing the women in pain. Seeing so many women in pain. You can tell by their countenance, their attitude begin to change. And what I begin to see now in this generation is the women being so aggressive with the men. I mean, really being aggressive. I mean, nowadays, you know, you show up late for a date, the woman has you in a corner. She's like, "Where you been?" And
gripping you.
yeah, exactly. You know,
lifting you off the ground.
right, exactly. You know, and now her pants are hanging off, and you know, you wonder, you know, is she called to be king or what? So that just brings back to my understanding. She doesn't know her place.
Wow.
And what we have to do is we have to understand where we fit. You know, we have to understand our position. The man is the head. He's like the sister was just saying. If he's the head, he has to have a vision. If he have a vision, he can begin to let the woman know how this is going to work. Do you agree? Do you agree with me? So she can follow. A lot of times the man don't have vision. So how the woman going to? How she going to follow?
I can agree with you.
And a lot of men are in this position right now. We're lost because of a broken focus. So a lot of times the woman has to become the aggressor.
Well, women are equally in the same place.
Well,
Because they can't be friends to the males that they're with. They have no idea as to what they expect of them. So they're asking, the man says, "What do I want?" And you can't answer.
Wait, I got a bigger one. I got a bigger one.
But what is it?
Because here's the big thing now. We talk about emasculation a lot in our communities. You know, people learn new words and now they want to talk about
I would
emasculation
say
a lot.
emasculation.
Emasculate.
Oh, man.
And I'm a man and now everybody's emasculating the man. But you also have to remember that, just like she said, women are equal in our communities now because actually women are making more money than men, especially in our communities.
So what do you do?
So what do you do if you're making a significant amount of money, more than that man that you got home, and you still want him to be the man? Be submissive?
Understand teamwork. Go ahead. Understand teamwork at that
She's
time.
like,
Listen, you know why? You know why? No, it's an excellent point that she's bringing up. But from the man's point of view, we have something called pride that we only can use as a gift at a certain time in the relationship. You understand what I'm saying? If that's the case, if she makes 50,000 and I make 25,000, it's something called humility that needs to take place. But also understand that if we're one, her money is my money.
This is true.
We have the same direction. We have the same God. So.
Wait. Because the state of Pennsylvania don't think so. When you go down to that courthouse and whoever makes the majority of the money, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, in the state of Pennsylvania, there is no alimony. So I just want y'all to know.
Right, no, but she's right.
It's no alimony. So when we say that your money is my money, when it all breaks down, if you came in a relationship with 3 kids and a lot of baggage, as we like to call it in the hood, you know, that's a thin line because your money is my money, but in the same token, you can't expect me to truly respect you instead of making the choice to say, okay, I make 20,000, but like you were talking about, the vision that I have, I'm gonna make 50,000 in a couple years because here's the vision. You got to step your game up. It reminds me and it takes me back to Claire Huxtable and Bill Cosby when I think the most attractive thing about couples and relationship is when I do something great, you trying to top it. It keeps it spicy. Rather than just simply settle and say, well, my wife makes 50,000 and I make 20,000, so we equal. No, we not. And she's never going to look at you as so. She can sit and pretend and act.
But in the marriage, though,
But
the marriage, you're one.
Okay.
That's the difference. Now we're just talking relating.
Kevin, I'm just going to ask you for a minute. We're not going to overlap, but because I want everybody to hear what you said from the very beginning. So I'm going to ask you to repeat what you said. Go right ahead, because I like a heated discussion.
No, I'm loving this.
No, this is wonderful.
See, I'm sorry, y'all. I got
Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The word says that you will leave your mother and father, and the two of you, the man shall cleave to the woman, and the two shall become one.
Absolutely.
Now we're talking a hookup culture. Yeah, I'm gonna get with Kalila, blah 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 blah. We're gonna shack up in the apartment, blah blah blah. Yeah, so yeah, her money, my money. If you're married, no, it's our money.
Right, that's right.
So instead of looking at it, okay, I'm a brother, so I'm only making 20,000. The wife, she's like the big breadwinner at 50,000. How about looking at it and say, oh, we're making 70,000?
That's right.
But you,
Amen.
And what this does is
Amen.
this eliminates the strife in the home. If the woman makes more money, that's fine that she makes more money. But what we want to create and keep in the home is a flow together. See, this stops the arguing, this stops the
There you go.
backbiting, this stops the possibility of committing adultery.
Well, yeah, but not to mention the fact, let me say this because I just recently got married, you know, in the last 12 years. Without saying exactly what our incomes are, neither one of us will suffer if we were by ourselves. However, what we have done with the person that makes the most money, we take the difference and start an account, which if there's a problem with the home, we can have that extra money in there to say, okay, hey, the car is down, we'll help you.
That's
Yeah,
right.
this will help you. Without saying how much anybody contributed, we just put money in there. It might be just all me or maybe just all him at times. So when we're broke, we're broke. When he's broke, I'm broke, and vice versa. When I'm broke, he's broke. Unless we pull our money together and say this is how we can work it. But one of the problems that has been is like women, like let's say in my age group, we are still arguing with one another a lot of times about what we should or shouldn't do in order to keep our homes happy. We're still talking about in terms of a house. So I stayed single a lot of years saying, well, I'm not going to put myself out with that guy because he doesn't, okay, he didn't even bring me flowers. But never thinking that maybe at the time he was struggling. You know, I could afford 10, 11 bouquets of flowers. So it meant something different when somebody didn't do for me what I thought I deserved. But the only person to love me as much as I could him was me. I had to love me that much. So the male in my life, that my husband is my friend. I changed what I looked for. You know, I had to look for something altogether different. So when I was younger, I would look for somebody to throw me over their shoulder and tell me, I love you, baby, the Scarlet O'Hara thing. You know, I didn't want to be Mammy. I wanted to be Scarlet.
Right.
See, when I realized at the time that it wasn't going to happen in the real world. So we're not sharing information with the younger women, which I like to do now because it's necessary. Because when I see a woman accept herself being called a dude, you know, and they have rap songs. Matter of fact, my sister-in-law and I was just talking about this morning, one of the only records that actually got a Grammy win
Yep.
that had something to do about being a pimp.
Yep.
And we said, out of all the music that we listen to, why is something so low rated, you know, in our society gets the big Oscar nod? Because that's the expectations that people have of African Americans. We need to have something going on with us, ourselves, to raise us above the bar.
I agree with
And we
this.
have to step out at home first. Excuse me. I told one of this guy, he said it on the air. We got phone calls where somebody said, how dare he tell men to go home and check their homes and sit down and talk to their women. We don't want to talk. We want a man walk through the door and knows what he wants. He cannot know what he wants entirely as a family man without knowing what his family needs.
That's right.
So we have to step out on that. And we have a lot of sisters, and I'm going to be honest, that I am really disappointed with, because not only can they not have decent relationships with the males, but they can't talk to their children.
Wow.
These young boys grow up to be men, and then we complain when they don't have a sensitivity that they need in order to be able to build their community or feel good about what they've done or express sympathy or sorrow. This comes from home. The sister has to sit down, the mother, I'm going to say the African American mother, the Hispanic mother, the Jewish mother, has to be home at least long enough to teach the children this and share the information with their daughters and with their sons. Because to me, that's the last straw. When I saw a sister walk down the street that had the bead across her chest,
Right.
blouse open, and then had the man's name tattooed across her behind. I said, you're like a cow. You know, you might as well be a goat or a horse. I mean, you turned yourself into property without him really seeing what exists inside. You have put that to the side for what?
Right.
Something that's not going to last forever. I'm talking about the physical thing. It ain't going to last forever, trust me.
It's funny.
You know, when you're 20, 30 starts to go downhill, 40 downhill. What happens then? It comes down to touching hands, holding hands, touching tootsies, hugging, embracing. We need to know that's okay.
Absolutely.
You know, that was my last straw. And I heard the music. I was like, oh my God, listen to this. You know, and so I'm in the world. I'm in the world. I don't belong in any specific church or organization. I just want to be part of an organization that's going to move to raise people above the bar.
That's right.
You know, to be able to reach for their goals and their goals You know, and I'm glad you guys out here doing this, and young lady. You know, I'm just glad somebody's stepping out on this because I'm tired when I'm going. You know,
But you already a part of it.
yeah, I'm part of the
Renee,
solution.
you already part of it.
I'm trying.
You already part of it because you know the generations that you've seen.
Yeah, I see a lot of stuff,
You know?
man. I wish I could put my business on this mic, but I know it's not gonna come back the way I said it.
Yeah, but you've seen generations, and it's just wisdom and experience. You know, again, it's black male female relationships. So you are qualified, an ambassador, if you ask me.
Yes, and you know, Renee, to your point, I think one of the things that I got really fed up and was kind of a litmus test for me was when I used to work at a trade school, and I used to go into high schools in Philadelphia and do presentations. And I would go into Bach and William Penn and Overbrook, and it was amazing, and it would be heartbreaking when I'd be trying to do a presentation and the young sisters, Kalila, 16 and 17 years of age, were trying to, I guess, basically date me. Yo, what's up? Let me give you my number. You gotta call me. I'm like, what? I'm an adult. You know? And it hurt me. One time I was so hurt, beloved elder, I sat in my car and I cried. And I said, Lord, what can I do to change this? Our women, they are running the same game that our brothers have run.
And that comes from
You know?
hurt, though.
Yeah, like look how you hustling.
Oh, I'm sorry. That comes from the hurt. That comes from the hurt of, if you're a young lady, and this generation of young ladies, they don't have father figures. So they have no one to say, for my dad, when I was young, he took me out to eat. So when a guy wanted to take me out to Red Lobster or one of those places, it wasn't an overwhelming experience. For a lot of young women, as soon as a guy takes them to Red Lobster or Olive Garden, to that degree,
McDonald's.
But McDonald's, they become wooed, bamboozled. They're like totally blown away by that.
But you know what? You're absolutely right about that. But do you know the first vision that any woman ever has
It's
of
their
a man
father.
is their father?
Absolutely.
If he's not there, he's absent or he's lousy. That's the only
And
thing
that's
she's going
my
to expect.
point.
But we have to go to the sisters on this because by the time they have to realize there's a difference between lust and commitment.
Absolutely.
You know, some of these sisters out here, all they're looking for, they have a gun. We're looking for love. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with
No,
somebody.
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's lust now.
It's not lust either.
It's security.
What was security?
Security.
It's security.
What sisters are looking for in this generation is a daddy.
Aha. Aha.
They're looking for a daddy because they've never experienced a daddy.
You know what? I agree with you 100%. I never gave it. I gave it some thought once, but had never
But the men are looking
met
for
anybody
mommies.
your age group to really step out on that. Thank you.
The men are looking for mothers as well, and that's the breakdown. And the breakdown, I'm a part of that generation. If I don't want to really get spiritual because spirituality sometimes can get to a degree where everybody really can't understand it, and we can't always be politically correct for people to really get what you're saying. But I was a part of that generation that became that rebellious generation. That generation that it's a small chosen few that said, okay, my mama made me go to church. My mom made me do
I was
things.
one of them.
But it was also a part of that generation where a bunch of kids came out of that generation, especially young women that was like, my mama made me do it, but I'm not gonna make my kids do it. So we changed our thinking. I'm that generation where the people of my age tell their kid, well, because my mom did this to me, and because my father made me be this, I'm not going to do that. So now we got a whole generation of children that was raised out of my generation that now no longer have that foundation. And that's a big component of what's going on.
Well, what we need to do, we're going to talk about solutions.
Absolutely.
See, so we're going to go to a Nene's favorite. You know, I like Nene's favorite. And we're going to do a station identification. And we're going to come back and we're going to let's recap what people have missed. You're listening to The Shea Kitchen. I'm Renee McBride Williams, and we'll be right back. Oh, that was the teaser. That was a teaser. That was a teaser. Now I can hear now. I'm going back on it. We were listening to Buddy Miles and the Changes, and we just listened to part of it. Because one of the things what we were talking about was relationship But your mind goes through those changes, yes it does. You feel like, oh, you're angry and you're hurt. And the word I like to use is disappointment. We were sitting here talking about relationships with Elder Bernard, and we were here talking to Kevin Sheaf and Hustle Lady.
Yes, yes.
You know, and but first I'd like to say you're listening to WDB 88.1 FM on Shed Kitchen. And we call it that because this is the things that are part of the things that cook, things that simmer, things that store for later on. All the information that we may need here, but we can use later. So it's also today it reached 52 degrees and expected tonight to go around a low of, I believe, according to this, 39 degrees. Yeah. So we're having one of those crazy weather trends here that we all otherwise know it as the beginning of spring. So it's also like fall. And we were here talking about relationships, and we went over just a bit when we talked about the expectations of relationships. Relationships between male and females, communications, disappointments, hurt. However, all these things we all agree to, and I'm sure we all have different opinions about where the last straw was drawn with them. And they felt as though they didn't know what to do, they wanted to drop out of the relationship game, which I did for a little while. You know, because I thought there was something wrong with them without examining what could be wrong with me. You know, and not to say there was anything wrong with me, it's just that the specific things I was looking for, and one was conversation. I wanted somebody to give back to me when I gave them that. Reflect on some of the things that I said so I could listen to myself talk and see basically if it was the right thing. I'm serious. I mean, I like that, you know, back and forth thing. So, you know, I want to ask you, Elder.
Yes, ma'am.
What solution do you think we should find in order to create a bridge between the anger and the hurt and maybe the disappointment that we have in relationships that could lead us into at least some harmony in which the right matches will get together and maybe the people who serve the best duty to the family and community and children at heart. What do you think is a good solution?
A good solution is acknowledging the fact that we have issues. As a race, as black people, we were taught how to suppress our pain. We have to get past that. We have to get past the fact of trying to keep everything inside, especially as men. You know, men in this generation, we're taught how to, you know, you can hold it in, stick your chest out and walk, and everything will be fine. Pride was given to us by God, but it was given to us for a specific task and a purpose. Once we understand what that is, we can begin to walk in the newness and the clarity of mind so we can be conscious-minded to be convicted about a fault whenever it comes. You know, one of the reasons why we don't want to risk the embarrassment of another brother finding out what it was that we tripped and we stumbled over. I mean, after all, we come back to the hood and I heard little Johnny did this and I heard that, so now and nobody wants to be bothered with him. You understand what I'm saying? We have forefathers that have left the foundation. I know in my neighborhood I've lost like 2 or 3 forefathers that really left the foundation for the younger generation to come up and to pick up that mantle and carry it. But they look at it as today as like it's like a sissified way, like of acknowledging a fault or a mistake. You understand what I'm saying? But it takes humility, like I said earlier, it takes humility for somebody to say, hey, you know what, I'm struggling, man. You know, another brother, hey, you know, can you help me? You know what I mean? Can we talk about this? You know, if we can just get to that point in our walk daily of acknowledging the fact that it's a problem. How can I deal with it? Can I trust somebody? Who can I trust to really hear my heart at the same time? So if we can just get past that notion, Renee, then we'll be on our way, especially as men.
You know, one of the things I want to say before we go to Hustle Lady and Kevin is one of the things I have to apologize to was the expectations that I had that some of the people who had faith and wasn't going to step out to try to be part of the solution.
Wow.
So let me say, it was a problem. I had little anger issues with some people who had a lot of opinions that never stepped out to find solutions. So here is one of the places I like to say, thank you all three. for being part of the solution and not the problem. Because I sat around a lot of people for a long time who realized we had problems, but you asked them to get involved and step out and say something. Nobody wants to do anything. Oh, I'm not doing, I don't mind my business. I don't want nothing to happen to them. I don't want people to say this, that, and the other, or they're going to talk about me or you. But you know, I said, but we knew these conversations were going on, and there's a lot of things that people don't want to step out on their belief, but ones of faith, I believe you should step out, because there's really nothing else we could do. That's why we're here, because we can't take it with us. We can only take love with us, the visions of hope with us. Other than that, what we come in with is what we leave with. So there's a reason why we learn what we learn. We're supposed to share. That's the way I feel. But back to what I was saying, at what point do you think...
Solutions.
Where do you find solutions?
Well, just a quick plug. One of the things that I do every day, all day, as Miss Hustle Lady and beating these streets, is like I like to say, is, you know, I use the avenue of radio and the avenue of being on the street. I was on 52nd and Market today, and I'm literally out there like, brothers, you so much better looking if you pull your pants up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Girl,
sisters, if you cover
give
up,
me
you'll make,
more for
you know, sisters, if you cover up, you'll give them something to think about, something to wonder about. So I use my voice, and I believe that that's what God has anointed me with, to use my voice, and I try to use that voice on every avenue. Never been ashamed to talk about anything. But solution-wise also is to just constantly talk to my generation. And prayerfully, the anointing that's on my life will penetrate and will leave something there that will stay and be. Because I believe that if it didn't affect you today, when you go to sleep, 2-3 days from now, you're going to reflect on something that I said. So we just got to keep talking. Not just saying, not talking in our rooms and talking in our churches and talking in our bathrooms and our prayer closets. I mean, we got to keep doing those things, but we got to literally get out here and talk to people.
All right, that's right. That's my personal belief.
Forget they tattoos, all that good stuff. Talk to them.
Yeah, that's right. And what about you, Kevin? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I'm agreeing with everyone here. I think that one of the things that I've been doing, that's one of the reasons, Renee, that I hosted the Black Male Conference, because I was tired of the epidemic of violence of black men killing other black men. I was tired of seeing brothers with their pants down, cursing, calling women bees, the filthy rap lyrics. And so I said, well, guess what? I'm one person, but I'm going to gather a few people. We're going to put on a Black Male Conference. And what we started doing was challenging the brothers. The other thing that we're about doing is having more community forums, coming out in the community, going to the barbershops and dialoguing with these brothers and teaching brother, this is what a man is. You know? Yes, the barbershop. What better place than the barbershop? And I love going to the barbershop in the hood. I go to a major league barbershop on 52nd Street. They play nothing but filthy rap videos. They're talking about, you know, having sex with women and all the curse words. And my wife used to say to me, why do you go there? I said, you know why I go there? I want to go where it's sick. Because a sick person needs a physician. That's right. The Christian barbershop don't need me. I got to go where the action is. And so, for example, Renee, a sister was washing my hair and started dancing like she was in a strip club, like she was sliding down the pole. And then she kept, and because I wasn't paying her no attention, Kalila, she started dancing even more, shaking her butt more, bending over. So finally I said to her, I said, sis, I could care less about your behind, I could care less about your breasts. I said, sis, you need some serious help. Because that lust spirit has so driven you that you have no control.
She didn't think you were peculiar, did she?
I'm sure she did.
But see,
I thought I was gay.
Yeah, but see, that's the funny thing. Is because we have to really focus in on our expectations of men. Many women don't know what that is. You know, they say, I want a man. They don't know what that is. They don't know what that means.
That's the point.
Because, you know, they really can't have one at home. And their brothers are just like little boys in men's bodies.
Absolutely.
You know, because that's what I think when their pants are hanging down.
Yeah.
It's hard to convince me you're a man and you look like you have a diaper or the only thing you don't have is pins. You know, I mean, I got to say it because I'm really sick of it myself. And then not to mention the fact I was in the school district for many years. And I became not only a teacher, but a parent to many. And at the same time, I found ways around some of the things that kids needed. I say, for instance, some of the kids asked for some kind of consequence for what they did. You know, they said, well, I did such and such a thing. What can I do? I said, well, how about writing this so many times? Or how about, because you can't make them stand in the corner. Some of the things the kids have been hearing and seeing that some of the parents have been doing in the presence of their children has been horrible. I don't think children should have been exposed to that. Because what happens by the time they're 12 years old, they have seen the whole gamut. They know everything about the XXX films. They know everything about the drugs and they know everything about the, what do they call these, the Lucy's. Some of the parents are sending them to the store to buy this stuff. The kids are swiping. Somebody told me that they had a parent that used to take them out to steal when they were kids. You know, they told me that they used to have cardboard cut in their shoes. You know, and they used to have to slide stuff underneath this cardboard. I said, wow. You know, and they said it was until they got older and they told grandma that put an end to it because we have a different matriarch. It turned out the grandmothers and great-grandmothers start raising the children. We have to stop this.
Yes.
You know, for our future, we don't have to be here. But we do know we have a caller, I believe. We have Chantel Ellis, and we can put her on the line, and we're going to see if she hears us. Chantel, are you on the line? Can you hear us? Chantel? Can you hear? Hello, hi. You are on the Shed Kitchen. We can hear you. You have a question? Hello? Okay, you're on the air. How you doing? Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah, you're just breaking up some. What's the hot topic tonight? What are you all talking about?
Well, we're talking about relationships and solutions of, like,
Relationships
yeah.
in terms of male-female relationships?
Yeah, male-female relationships and
Okay.
black family structures and
I'm
things,
sorry.
and family structures. Things we could do different, yeah. Let me ask you a question. What do you think about male-female relationships?
Could you repeat that? It was breaking up a little bit.
What do you think about male and female relationships today?
What do I think about male-female relationships today?
Yes.
I mean, well, that's a really broad statement to look at male-female relationships. If we're looking at home, of course, thinking of, and from my background, Christian background, I'm thinking of her in the dating relationship, in the relationship where you have husbands and wives.
Well, how about this?
In a relationship where there may be children involved, where parents are not together.
Yeah, all those above. Let me just stop you for a second and ask you, why do you think so many African American women are still single?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Why do you think
Why do I think?
so many African American women are still single?
Why do I think it's a breakup? And I think I may have heard you say, why do I believe African American women are still single?
Yes. Why do you think?
I think some could be by choice. I think another particular reason could also be by perhaps the men. It could also be, looking at education in terms of a lot of women, a lot of African American women are now, driven with education and career-minded. Some have been hurt and wounded. And so their trust factor for allowing a man into their space is somewhat difficult, and it makes it difficult to even maneuver in a relationship because they probably haven't processed it all and really been healed from prior relationships. And like I said, some
That's true.
have choice. Some have had really bad relationships, and depending on the call in their life and what they were destined to do, they move along. And everybody is not going to be married and everybody won't be in a relationship, but they can be successful and satisfied in their faith.
Well, thank you for calling, and stay tuned because we're gonna come back next week with the solutions if they, all three of these gentlemen, well, all two of these gentlemen and young lady, will come back.
Great. God bless.
God bless.
Brother Kevin and you all here. God bless you
Hey,
all.
love you, prophetess.
Love you, prophetess.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's go back to, we have our hustle lady, we have Elder here, and we have Kevin here. We were talking about relationships with solutions, and we're getting ready to go to the top of the hour, which means we're getting ready to end our show. I want hustle lady to come back next week.
Yes.
Kevin, can you come back next week?
I'll be here.
Elder, can you come back next week?
Yes, ma'am.
What I like to do is, although I have heard that you had talked about this earlier in relationships and carrying it through, there's a possibility that maybe we can find time for you another day as well, when you can man and lady the microphone. And because one of the things is, I believe that people either are part of problem or solutions. I'm sure at one point, once what you said, we have to find out what's wrong.
That's right.
What kind of things do we need to deal with? And we have to attack it from that end. And we can't say any more about denial. It's a big word. A lot of people don't understand what that is. You have to, like I said, after a while, came to a point when I said, men, there's a problem with these guys and so. Then came a point when I said, well, maybe there's something wrong with how I'm seeing things. I'm choosing the wrong people for what reasons? There has to be a reason why I'm choosing these wrong people. So I had to review Renee's outlook on life. And fortunately, I found a wonderful man to marry. We're best of friends.
He found you.
Yeah, he found me too. But there's another story about that. We have a side story that we know there's a reason that it was supposed to be like that. And it's like some things that Creator lets you know that it was just meant for you. And it's not just all about that, you know, he was rushing down the street and we heard the music,
Yeah.
and my hair was, you know, flying in the air and I was in slow motion with it. It wasn't quite like that. It was more like, oh, I haven't seen you for years. Why would you be here? You know, like in certain things that you know are part of your life. But anyway, that's before I ramble on and on. You know, I just want to know if you can come back and we can discuss a little bit more about relationships in our community. And we have another surge of diversified cultures and relationships. And I'd like to know, what do you think about those? Because today marriage isn't just always between male and female. Today is different. So yeah, and not only that, you have cross-cultural and cross-religious.
Right.
So we want to find out exactly, maybe what do you think about those things? You know, I have opinions, but some, you know, are genuine, and some are just based on stereotypes. You know, about how I feel about things, because I too came up in a religious background where I had to go to church every time I made a mistake. I had to go 3 times a week. I had to go 3 times a week. I went to the uptown, and when next thing I know, I'm in my grandmother's church for 3 times in 1 week, all day Saturday, all Sunday, and Wednesday for Sunday school, so Saturday. Now I don't even remember what day it was.
7 days a week, huh?
It was almost, and then she would get on the bus and come and sing. She would bring the Bible through the door if we didn't get there. Wow. You know, so a lot of times kids, it was a Pentecostal kind of church when I grew up. So, so some things were it's embedded in me that I didn't really realize it was a part of that culture. You know, I just thought that's just the way it was. You know, so a lot of people, what if a person doesn't believe in God? Where do they go to find faith? What do they do with relationships? I've talked to people who had no concept of Creator whatsoever, who told me that just doesn't exist. That is a figment of your imagination. What do you think they are with relationships? These are the only things I would like to cover, because these things are going on in our communities.
Absolutely.
So you address the question next week, and we'll see. And we get ready to move into Unpolished Gems. You're listening to The Shed Kitchen and the 659. And thank you for listening, and thank you for calling me. Have a great night, y'all.
You too, Renee.
Thanks.